Raz, dwa. Okay. Do we have everyone? All right. I see some people are still coming here, but I think we can start. My name is Rafał Cymerys. I'm a software developer at a company called Upsidel. We're an agency that focuses on voice technologies, especially voice assistant platforms. And today, I'm going to tell you a bit about this new kind of front end that's on one side invisible, on the other side it's super cool, and it seems like this kind of voice feature is coming also to e-commerces. So when we think about how people interact with our apps, with our stores, it's very often driven by the technology and advancements in technology. So for example, internet brought us e-commerces that you know from the web. Later, we got mobile. With the introduction of smartphones, mobile internet became more and more widespread, and it also changed how people buy things, right? They expect to be able to purchase on their mobiles. That's why we got PWAs, and all this stuff needs to be also optimized for mobile. But as I said, when you look into the future, there's this new kind of interaction that's kind of rising right now, and it's driven by two things. So in the past years, machine learning and especially voice recognition became better and better at understanding what we're saying. So it gets like 95% accuracy, which is pretty cool for consumer use cases. And also, it drove improvements in natural language processing, which allows us to understand commands that are made by text or by voice and interpret them on the machine level. And those two things brought a totally new category of devices. So how many of you know those? This is Amazon Alexa and Google Home. You may also have Google Assistant on your phones, which is based on similar technologies. So what I think Amazon started the whole thing. So they thought, okay, so to make it even easier for people to use our technologies, to use our services, why don't we add a microphone to a speaker that's somewhere in people's living rooms, use these machine learning technologies, voice recognition, natural language processing, to allow them to use apps with voice. So they have this thing, and if you live in Poland, you probably haven't seen much of that, but if you look to the West, to Germany, to the US, to United Kingdom, those things are growing extremely fast. So currently, like by the end of the last year, smart speakers were present in around 15% of American homes, which is quite a good number, and it means that there's big enough audience to start doing something for that. So obviously, sorry. So this guy is laughing because it's another step in taking over the world by Amazon. But I think for us, the question is, what's in voice for developers? Well, if you know Siri, Siri is kind of like closed platform. It's also very popular, but you cannot build anything custom for that. With Alexa, with Google Assistant, which are the most widespread voice technologies right now, it turns out that those platforms are open for third party, and we can build apps. And some companies are already experimenting with e-commerce solutions for voice platforms. So you got package tracking by UPS, where you can just ask the assistant or the smart speaker, where's my package, and where the guy is going to arrive with my package. Also, there are well-known use cases of Domino's that shifted around 20% of their orders to smart speakers, because obviously ordering a pizza is usually ordering the same pizza to the same place, your house, which is easy enough for the voice interfaces to handle that. So there's plenty of room for in voice assistant platforms to build something interesting. And going further into that, the major difference is for us as developers that we replace the traditional graphical user interface with voice. So there's no longer a button that says order or add to cart, but rather we're using voice for that. So for example, if we're thinking about making voice orders of things like dog food, we can simply tell the smart speaker, Alexa, reorder dog food, and um, our apps can provide some sort of feedback. For example, okay, I reordered. So that's the checkout process, extremely simplified. It works for some use cases better than for others, but it's there, and it's possible to do those kind of things. Also, very often we need to combine those voice experiences, especially those in smart speakers, with other. Because, for example, it's kind of difficult to speak about the invoice details, so you can simply send that to the email and combine voice with what we know as mobile and web. So we like to think of voice as a new frontend that stands next to web, that stands next to mobile. And that's how it works from developers' perspective. The good news is, even though the whole thing is based on voice, on machine learning, natural language processing, we don't have to do voice recognition and intent recognition ourselves, because Google and Amazon provide very good tools for that we can link to certain actions in our apps. So this is a screenshot of Dialogflow, which is Google's solution. And this is like the main interface for training Google's system to recognize certain actions that the user may want to perform with our e-commerce, for example. So now the question, how to get started with voice, how to play around with that. So if you look at the internet, there's plenty of those Hello World tutorials that are focused on building really simple conversations with those assistants. But when we want to think about e-commerce, there's not really much materials out there that will help us get started. So together with the Vue.js team, we sat down and we thought maybe there's something that we can do for like other developers to help them get started, add voice to their e-commerces. And we created a very simple library for JavaScript that lets you get started in no time with all those voice things for existing e-commerces especially. So VoiceCommerce.js is an open source library for JavaScript that integrates nicely with Vue Storefront. You can also connect that to Magento. Vue Storefront is the easiest way to do that because they have all the APIs, all the integrations already there. So you just hook it up. There are also templates that help you get started, especially for e-commerce, and connect all of those things to Amazon and Google Assistant and build your own voice integrations like really, really fast. We also covered a few very common use cases for voice in e-commerce, which is obviously tracking delivery status, because that's simple enough to be provided by voice, and that's a common use case that companies experiment with. We also added simple scenarios for reordering, so you can simply import reordering and connect that to the voice interface. And we also took care of linking those accounts so that this smart assistant, Alexa assistant, can identify the user that's using that and perform orders on their behalf. Implementing OAuth is quite a big pain for those platforms, so that's also included. So you can find it here. It's on GitHub. And as I said, it's open source. It's in very early stages. We're planning to add a few more common features like supporting Amazon Pay and Google Pay, just to make this voice checkout really seamless. But we're also very warmly welcoming any kinds of contributions. So go check it out. It takes like 10 minutes to get started with the first voice app. And, well, follow voice because it's developing very fast. And like every month, there are a lot of new things coming up in those platforms. And also users are implementing those technologies in their everyday lives very fast. So you may expect to see more voice in your work even next year. And that's it from me. Thank you very much. So you know where to find our GitHub repo. If you want to talk to me, if you have any questions, you can just ping me on Twitter or find me somewhere around here. I'm here for the next day as well. And yeah, that's it. Thank you very much.